Americans have a deep love of boy bands. It seems that every few years, a new group climbs to the top of the pop charts, stealing the hearts of millions.
His smile is adorable.
But since the breakup of One Direction in 2015, no other group has been able to capture and hold our collective attention. That is, until BTS. BTS, aka 방탄소년단, the 7-member Korean idol group, has become a global phenomenon. There's RM, Jimin, Suga, V, Jin, Jungkook, and J-Hope.
You can't think about popular music right now without thinking about BTS, arguably the biggest band in the world.
Few people expected a Korean-speaking boy band to become the next IT sensation in the United States. But 6 albums, 6 EPs, 5 tours, and millions of fans later, BTS has cemented its place in American pop culture. Just about every decade has its own boy band on the pop charts. The cycle goes like this. A boy band lands a breakout hit, gets a lot of attention, builds a passionate fan base, releases a few albums, tours the world, and breaks up just in time for a new one to come and take its place.
There's these 7-year cycles where every once in a while a big boy band comes up. You know, in the early 2000s, you had NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys, and then it took a little break, and then One Direction came back huge. Once One Direction kind of went away and went on their hiatus, there was a gap.
But what's interesting about BTS's rise to fame in the US is how a group from the other side of the world, with only one English-speaking member, took the spot from bands like 5 Seconds of Summer and The Wanted.
It's not just a need for a new boy band every few years. You have to be the right boy band at the right time.
BTS's timing was impeccable. The proof is in the numbers. In 2018, BTS landed 3 #1 albums on the Billboard 200 chart. The last band to do that was the Beatles. They also broke YouTube records like the fastest video to reach 100 million views and the most streamed video in 24 hours.
They have broken so many records. After release, they've been breaking their own record.
Their album, Map of the Soul Persona, had 3 million pre-orders internationally and when released topped the iTunes charts in 89 different countries. BTS is the first South Korean group to reach 10 million followers on Twitter, perform at the Billboard Music Awards, and be the musical guest on Saturday Night Live. BTS's music is a blend of different genres like pop, hip-hop, and EDM, and they're known for their catchy hooks and unique choreography. But more importantly, the band members write their own lyrics. And even though they're mostly in Korean, the socially conscious songs usually contain a few English phrases.
The lyrics, they're not superficial. They're actually they mean something. They talk about issues that we can relate with.
Experts agree that a big part of America's fascination with BTS stems from a desire for something new.
I think K-pop is having a moment because it's extremely different.
Not only is there an increased appetite to understand different cultures, but I think that there's a huge Asian community in the US that loves seeing an artist like BTS represent themselves.
It's becoming this counterculture movement where it's very new, it's very exotic for the teens, and it's something that's very different from what the rest of the people are listening to.
I wouldn't want to say how mainstream artists now all sound the same. They don't, but it's something more culturally different.
Surprisingly, the language barrier hasn't been an issue for BTS.
And we're very happy to be the messenger for many people's lives and the positivities.
Music doesn't need a language, you just need to hear it to have a good feeling about it.
It's never been difficult to just find translations, to just read it while watching, reading while listening.
A hit is a hit, so at the end of the day, you still have to have super strong melody, a lyric that resonates with people, and hook after hook after hook. It doesn't matter if you're singing in Farsi or Korean.
But in order to understand BTS's success in the Western market, you have to go back to the group that changed South Korean music forever, Seo and Boys. In April 1992, the group debuted their song, I Know, on a popular Korean talent show.
The reason why it was really successful and why he's a pioneer for K-pop idols is because before the emergence of Seo, the music industry of Korea was heavily focused on catering towards the tastes of adults, and they didn't really consider teens as a legitimate market for music.
The judges of the talent show dismissed the performance, but the teenagers of South Korea couldn't get enough.
A lot of his songs were very counterculture, and they had lyrics that teens could relate to.
While Seotaeji's performance ignited a shift in South Korean pop culture, it was Psy's 2012 viral hit Gangnam Style that took K-pop global. The song peaked at number 2 in the Billboard Top 100 and stayed on the charts for 31 weeks. It was also the first video to ever reach 1 billion views on YouTube.
It was the first time the general public had seen Korean language going on air in American TV shows. Back in those days, when they thought about Korea, it was like mostly nuclear missiles because they like confused it with North Korea.
Everybody has Gangnam Style in their deeper mind, you know.
Psy's Gangnam Style was one of the biggest songs of 2012. But more importantly, it proved that K-pop could find a sizable audience in America. BTS debuted its first album in 2013. Too Cool for School gained fame in South Korea, and the band definitely used social media to gain international fans. The strategy paid off. BTS won Best New Social Artist at the 2017 Billboard Music Awards, proving just how large and loyal their fan base had become.
K-pop fans are heavily based on social media such as Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, and these media outlets in the US started looking into these like hashtag numbers or likes, and they saw, wow, they are getting huge amount of views, and that's when they started like getting interest into them and started inviting K-pop artists to American TV shows.
In the era of streaming and YouTube, fan interaction is critical, and BTS is constantly putting out new content to keep them engaged.
They're one of the best I've ever seen at it. They're on the social media all the time. There's always new content for fans. And that was tough before. When you were releasing content through video or through television stations, you had to wait for it. But BTS is putting out new stuff literally every day.
Beyoncé has the Beehive, and Lady Gaga has her Little Monsters. But BTS's Army is arguably the most devoted fan base in music today.
I love BTS.
Their BTS Army is so locked in and so supportive online, and the BTS Army always shows up.
I don't want to say that they're threatening, but they certainly remind you to be nice to BTS. They'll tell you what kind of food they like, what to make sure to snacks to have ready for them. The fandom takes care of them like no other band I've ever seen before.
Army's support goes far beyond social media. The Love Yourself, Speak Yourself tour has reportedly made over $180 million in ticket sales. And fans can buy everything from BTS apparel, stuffed animals, and makeup.
I spent thousands of dollars on BTS in the past few years, thousands.
They've known and seen the group grow in front of their screen. I feel like that makes them want to support an artist even more.
But perfecting their skills as performers was just as important as building their social media presence. BTS signed with Big Hit Entertainment, which put the group through years of intense training in singing, dancing, and presentation.
To become a K-pop artist, there is intense training to debut. There are kids who audition at the age of 8, 9, and they would join the agency and train for years and years.
Aspiring idols are taught manners and self-grooming, put on diets, weighed daily, and instructed on how to coordinate outfits. Many even have plastic surgery.
They just become like these perfect figures that everyone looks up to, and there's when the word idol kicks in.
Management companies even put strict limitations on their K-pop idols' social lives to keep their images intact. You'll most likely never see a member of BTS in a public romantic relationship.
A lot of times they play to the boyfriend fantasy or the girlfriend fantasy. When they do have a dating scandal, fans will no longer support the idol because they think they're being betrayed.
But for all their success, there's one major obstacle that could greatly impact BTS's future: mandatory service in the South Korean military. Korean men are required by law to enlist in the military for about 2 years. Some are able to defer enlisting under certain circumstances, such as continuing their education. Some athletes are even exempt after winning international competitions. But despite their success, K-pop idols are still required to enlist.
People are actually debating whether K-pop idols should be exempt equally as soccer players do, because they are boosting national pride, but K-pop idols are boosting national pride at the same time.
In the world of pop music, dropping out of the limelight for 2 years can be a career killer, especially for a group whose success relies on regularly putting out new content on social media. But the group's intense fan base could actually help them come back stronger than ever.
I think that after waiting for so long, they're going to be even more passionate to bring BTS back into the industry and make it even bigger.
In fact, a hiatus could work in BTS's favor.
The Backstreet Boys came back after 15 years and had another hit on the radio. So the future's wide open for BTS.
BTS seems to be the perfect musical act for the current era. Their collaborations with artists like Halsey and the Chainsmokers have helped solidify their spot in pop culture.
BTS is still getting bigger and bigger. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be around for a long time.
Whether they're together or whether they're apart, they're going to be part of our lives for the foreseeable future for sure.
BTS fans can be assured that the idols will be around in the coming decade. The group just signed a new contract through 2026, meaning the albums, tours, and merch aren't slowing down.
We're going to appreciate their impact as we get a little bit farther away from the beginning of it and just say, wow, look at what they've accomplished as a K-pop group and as a boy band that took over the world.